Champions Mojo is part of the CG Sports Network.
Welcome to the award-winning Champions Mojo, hosted by two world record-holding athletes and health, life, and leadership coaches. Be inspired as you listen to Conversations with Champions. On today's show, we're excited to announce Kelly's new book, Take Your Mark, Lead. With a compelling foreword written by Bob Bowman, four-time Olympic coach and Michael Phelps' coach, the book is already an Amazon bestseller in several categories for hot new releases. Last week, the book hit #1 in swimming and also in business training, triathlon, sports essays, Olympic Games, and women in sports. And now, your hosts, Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker.
This is a Maria Parker. This is unusual because usually Kelly opens the show. Welcome to Champions Mojo. And I am opening the show today because I am interviewing my dear, sweet, incredibly wonderful sister-in-law, Kelly. And I'm interviewing about her brand new book, which is called, Kelly?
Take Your Mark, Lead, 10 Ways to Lead Yourself and Others Like a Champion.
Right. And so this is a book that I've actually been hearing about since I've known Kelly almost, which is, everybody knows, maybe you don't know, I've known Kelly for 36 years since I married her little brother. But Kelly has been talking about this book for quite some time and even sent me a draft years and years and years ago, which I still have and read. So what's coming out today is much better than what I read, but what I read then inspired me. So anyway, I just want to say, Kelly, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for finally getting this book out and because this book it's inspired me, and the lessons in this book are what has helped make me, if I have succeeded in anything, the lessons in this book are what got me there. It came right from the horse's mouth, Kelly, all the way through these last 35 years. But anyway, so we want to talk about the book. So Kelly, my question for you is, why finally now are you getting this book together and published?
Well, I've had the ideas for this since, I first started to see success after success after success in my life. And that doesn't mean that I haven't had massive failures and some really horrible obstacles. But when you sprinkle in the successes that I've had, I look at those and I like, wow, this is incredible for just kind of a bubble-headed cheerleader, someone that never considered, I really never considered myself particularly educated or particularly talented or gifted in any way. And yet I would have these incredible accomplishments just keep coming and coming and coming. And they've been going for my whole life. And so even through, I think the biggest thing was going from being a Division I head coach, which into Pfizer, and Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, they say is harder to get hired at Pfizer than it is to get into Harvard, that the numbers are there.
But you didn't just get into Pfizer. Tell us what you did with Pfizer.
Well, I mean, I got 7 promotions in 10 years, and I got one of the largest sales bonuses ever given out in Pfizer as a sales rep. I really just was very successful in that. And I remember when the vice president, the vice president of sales, which is the highest that you can go within our little division, when I met him at one of these orientations, he was shaking everybody's hand and he wants to meet everybody new that's been hired in Pfizer. And so we're going through this receiving line and he's asking everyone, where are you coming from? And I'm hearing all these people saying, oh, literally, I'm a former doctor, or I'm a pharmacist, or I was a military captain, or, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, I was a college swimming coach. And he literally makes a funny face and he goes, well, that's a stretch. And so I just said, the line kept moving, but I remember just thinking in my head, well, I'm going to show him, Right. So I went on to be one of the top performers, and actually he and I laughed about that later. That was Mick Mosebrook, who, I ended up on one of my 3rd or 4th promotions, I ended up in New York City at headquarters. And I was in charge of a program, which was actually like this, Maria. It was a radio show called Drive Time, and it went out to the sales force. And one of my first interviews was with Mick Mosebrook. And I told him, Mick, do you remember that receiving line? So we kind of laughed about that. But so I feel like people, these are the tenets and the principles that I've used, which are pretty simple, are the way for anyone to become successful in almost anything that they want to do. And I've carried that. So when I started to write it, it was just, hey, let me write this 20 years ago for how I went from being a swim coach to being a top performer in a corporate, Fortune 100 company. But then as I just kept having these successes in different things, from being,
Yeah, let's talk about some of your successes. So you didn't just do really well in Pfizer. You didn't just, become a Division I head coach in swimming. You also have created a multi-million-dollar business outside of that. You have created a nonprofit
charity
that has really changed. What we joked about this. I want to tell this story because your mom always wanted one of her kids to to cure cancer or to do something really amazing that would help a lot of people. And I am married to the doctor in the family, and I think he felt, she would say, Jim, it's great to be a radiologist, but I think you're smart enough to cure cancer. And he, I think he kind of carried that around as a burden, but the burden is lifted because he didn't have to cure cancer. His big sister, Kelly, founded an organization that changed the paradigm for treating eczema. That really your organization and what you went through and the suffering that you and so many other people went through has changed the way dermatologists are now treating eczema. No longer are they using topical steroids, and that has saved so much suffering, will save suffering in the future, and it's probably saved lives. So you get the win for the curing.
Well, Jim, you and Jim are always so kind to say that. And Maria, as I was writing the book, I sent off almost anyone that was listed in the book or any organization, I sent off the draft and said, you're in this book. I want to make sure that A, it looks good to you, and B, that things are correct. And so I recently sent off for the very last draft, I sent off that to the ITSAN board.
Okay.
And in the original document that I created,
it stands for
International Topical Steroid Awareness Network. Okay. And what people go through used to be called red skin syndrome because you turn bright red and your skin peels off and you're itchy for years. It's a horrific condition that affects babies to elderly, and it has no boundaries. If you've used topical steroids, you can get this if you overuse them. So when I originally, and that condition was called red skin syndrome. Now it's called topical steroid withdrawal syndrome to be more friendly to people of color, because we've had a lot of people of color go through it, and they don't turn red, they turn purple or they turn gray. So it's a really horrific condition. So when I wrote the book, I knew, at least from my own work with it, because we started the organization, we started the unofficial organization in 2009, and then it became nonprofit status with the 501c3 in 2012. And so since then, my last year as president, and I've always been the co-founder with Dr. Rappaport, but my last stint as president was in 2015. So I just kind of had those stats, and I didn't know if they'd kind of been updated, but we were in 32 countries and serving in the US 250,000 people. So I just literally got back those stats. We're now in 54 countries, and in the US alone, they have a way that you see how many people you're serving. 3.8 million people.
Wow.
ITSAN is helping 3.8 million people. So that's your prevalence factor minus the number of people that you're actually serving. So it's a real horrific condition, and you can get it from the red and white tube in your medicine cabinet by using it for 2 weeks. So we have people that have had that. So anyway, it's just starting that charity, building a multi-million-dollar real estate business. And it's not the kind of real estate business that people think. I'm not a broker with my sign out, and I don't, sell houses. My husband and I have flipped houses, and that is a grueling, brutal, risky, hard job, which we did for 10 years. And I was wrapped in my red skin syndrome clothing, going out and watching, manning crews and painting and refinishing and, flipping houses. So so doing all those things, And even, even besides just the happy things that I got out of the things that I've learned and the things that are in this book, was going through horrible things, like going through breast cancer, surviving 9/11, taking care of my mom with Alzheimer's, having our house destroyed in the hurricane. So all these stories are in the book, and I don't want to give them all away because I want people to read them. And it's not just my stories. They're mixed in with lots of Olympians, Olympic coaches. I think we have 5 Olympic coaches in the book and multiple Olympians. And then, our friend Dan Plezak. Maria, you and I have created this basis for a lot of the stories in the book through the interviews that we've done on Champions Mojo here on this podcast. So it all came together. How did it happen? So I've had kind of that the foundation of my own stories, and then watching all these champions that we've interviewed and creating their stories, and then just kind of meshing it all together with good research. There's a 10 or 20 page reference guide in the back with books and all the articles that I've pulled from over years and years. And there's also a discussion guide in the back to help people develop leadership skills. So I know book clubs are really hot right now, but there's a book club guide in the back so people can ask questions. And what's your favorite persona? Is it, the habit hacker or the peak performer or the success celebrator?
So I can tell you, I read, I think the book has gotten even better since I read it. But even though I have known you, Kelly, for all these years, and you have coached me and counseled me and encouraged me, as I was reading the book, I was scribbling down as fast as I could some of the phrases and some of the things, and I've actually written them, put them up on my bulletin board. There's so much good stuff in there, and it's an eminently readable book. I mean, it's fun to read, lots of good stories, really clear take-homes, takeaways that will make you a better leader, a leader of your own life and leader of others. Not everybody wants to go out there and lead. That was one thing that was interesting to me. I was just talking to a friend, and she said, I just realized finally that I don't really want to be a leader. I want to be a follower, which is great, but you have to lead yourself. You've got to, and everybody, most of us want to improve. We want to be more effective. We want to be kinder, better people. And the book is a really clear roadmap for how to do that. And it's a fun and easy read as well. So,
well, thanks, Maria. And I feel like that your friend who said they want to be a follower, that leadership. So this isn't like a hardcore. I mean, there are definitely some principles, and in the end of every chapter, it says lead yourself. And then it said lead others. So there's something for, if you are leading an organization, that you're going to definitely get some tools. But I think we're all leaders and we just don't know it. And being a leader it's being your authentic self. It's just operating through authenticity. And then someone sees you. Someone says, you know what? Kelly wears glasses. She doesn't wear contacts. And I'm afraid to go out in public because I don't want to be wearing glasses. But, I'm going to wear glasses because I see Kelly doing it, or your friend. And I can give an example of Amy Lepping. She was a swimmer on my team at NC State who I totally looked up to as a leader. Amy was not particularly overtly telling us what to do, but every morning Amy was there early. She put the lane ropes in. She got in the pool first. She worked hard. She was a huge leader by just doing the right things for Amy. And then I wanted to emulate Amy. So I think it's you can be any kind of a leader. So this book is 10 ways to lead yourself. And I think when one leads themselves in the most positive way, you're going to lead people. People are going to look up and say, wow, look what she's doing. She's doing it quietly, or he's doing it quietly. He's doing it authentically. That brings people to you. I think, as to quote Mel Stewart, when you are authentic, people gawk, people stare, people want a piece of you because you're real. And I see that it has something in there for if you are leading yourself or leading others.
Yeah, that's really true. The authenticity piece. And that's one of your great qualities. And, I've been seeing you working on this book now for well, you've been working on it for 19 years, but really putting your head down and scouring the world and your community and your memories and our podcast for the essential truths. I mean, you could go and listen to every single one of our podcasts, and I hope you do. But if you really want to get the important stuff out, read this book. It's really, and I'm curious, I guess, is why. I think a lot of people write books and they're sort of, a vanity project, and that might be that might be what I would like to do. But this book means more to you than that. It's not just about you. Tell me why it's so important for you to get this stuff out there.
Yeah, I think truly, I think I kind of alluded to it a little bit that, I feel like if anyone uses the techniques in this book, it's going to help them be more successful in anything they want to do, whether that's a corporate goal, losing weight, being a better family member, parent, starting their small business. Because I'm just so average. I am so average with what I have as far as my gifts and talents and skills. And by using these things, I was able to achieve so much that I can't even fathom how I achieved what I did. But then when I look at it, it's because of that. And I want others to have that. I want people to be inspired to say that, I can do this because I have these tools. And I was lucky enough to get them through athletics, but you don't have to be an athlete to just say, oh, okay, I'm going to do what Leah Smith did in this mile, how she did this, or I'm going to do what Cody Miller did in this, or I'm going to do what Kelly did, in 9/11 or during her breast cancer, or I'm going to do what Bob Bowman did. There's stories in there from Bob Bowman and Jack Bowerly and Terry McKeever and David Marsh. And, so I think I really am passionate that people get this into the hands of those that need it, and that they're inspired to live a higher, better version of themselves.
And that will happen if you read the book. So where can we find the book? Where can people find the book right now, Kelly?
They can get it at takeyourmarklead.com. It's Take Your Mark Lead. So just like the old Take Your Mark, it's not Take Your Mark Go. It's Take Your Mark lead.com.
Beautiful. And you can also listen to it it's going to be available on Audible.
It's going to be available on Audible, of course, Amazon. I mean, anywhere books or audiobooks are sold. But if you want more exact specific information, takeyourmarklead.com. But, anywhere books or audiobooks are sold.
And this is a book you're going to want to buy and have probably in hard copy, because you're going to want to thumb through it and go back. That's been my experience with it. So,
oh, Maria,
Kelly, I'm
thank you so much.
proud of you.
Thank you. And thanks for interviewing all these champions so I could put them in the book. And,
it's been fun, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been really fun.
All right.
So, Maria, the last question.
Oh,
your book coming out?
Yeah. Oh, wow. No, the last question. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to say?
No, I wasn't even thinking of that question. No, I don't have anything else to say. Just, I guess I would say, I thought I was going to ask you. That's so funny. I would say that if the book does make an impact on you, nothing makes someone feel better than when they've worked really hard on something and it makes a difference in your life. Would love to hear from you at hello@championsmojo.com if you find that the book is something that you value. And of course, an Amazon review is the bomb. I mean, that's, you need Amazon reviews. But now the last question, Maria, is there going to be a book from you, or are you just kind of still deciding?
TBD. To be determined. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
I know.
I have a different kind of area of interest, so it'll be different. But
and you are moving this year and have a new grandchild coming, and
yes,
I know it's a crazy year. So maybe this is the seed, and maybe it'll be another 10 years from you.
I think I just need to get your book and go through each little thing and start working towards my book.
Thanks, Maria. I love you so much.
I love you too, Kelly. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Champions Mojo podcast with host Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker. Champions Mojo is produced by Cabra Media, and a new episode debuts every Tuesday. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. Follow Champions Mojo on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Champions Mojo.